Okay. Do you want me? So I'll press it now, yeah?
Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. We are back with the Chalkinator, Mr. Chalk. otherwise,
Mate,
otherwise known as Pete Rothwell. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
All good, all
Um,
good.
it's very good to see you.
Thing is, it's weird, isn't it? When was the last time I seen you?
I mean, I'm gonna say Christmas time.
Didn't you come over to Newcastle last summer? Remember when it was Eat Out to Help Out?
Um, I did, yeah. But then, did I not see you at Christmas? Or were you too busy?
I was probably too busy to see you, yeah.
I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Did you
Yes.
not like?
I can't remember if I said. I don't think I did see you.
I think you did.
Oh well, I can't remember.
I mean, we it must
I
have
can't
been
remember
like
seeing you.
it must have been like a memorable occasion if you can't remember.
Thing is, though, I was thinking there, like, if it was that time, the time before that was when you came over, like last summer for Eat Out to Help Out. Around that time, because I remember I was going to Wayne's and you didn't just come over for Eat Out to Help Out.
That's why I saw the initiative from the government. I thought, get me on a plane, get me to Britain. I want some cheap food.
So, for all you who don't know, all the millions listening and watching around the world, if you don't know, Pete lives in Tenerife. Obviously, he used to
I know.
live in Newcastle, but now he lives in Tenerife, living it up in the sun. So he used to be a personal trainer. I am going to get on the topic in a bit. This podcast is going to be around personal training, but I cannot guarantee at all that there'll probably be a lot of segues into other topics and stuff like that. But I've got a few questions written down here, and the first one I wanted to ask you, Pete, was what was your background before you got into PT and how did you get into it? Seeing as though you're the guest, I'm going to let you go first. And I'm going to sit here, hang on, I'm going to sit here with my poppers.
Your poppers.
Yeah, my popcorn. My bo-
I feel like this is a bit of a setup because you know when you messaged to do this and you were
yeah.
like, I said, do we need to prep anything? No, we'll just have a bit of a chat. And then you've
Um,
made a list of questions and not
um,
told me the questions.
well, that was the whole point in doing it. I wanted to make sure that nothing was scripted. It's all just like thing is, I've literally just written these before we've commented, so I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I've just thought some questions at the top of my head, put them down, and then I'll. You know what? You go first on this one, and then on the next one, I'll go first, just so you're not put on the spot every single time.
Have
So
you have you written questions for yourself?
no, all these questions that you'll go first, you answer them, then I'll answer my
Right, I
sort of
see.
take on it afterwards. But obviously, on the next question, I'll go first, then you go. All right, deal.
Yeah, so you just before we start, you've given us a bit of an insight into your preparation for this podcast. You've just jotted them down just before this.
Yes.
Oh, great, great,
I thought, you
great.
know what? If there's anyone I don't really need to plan something for, it's Mr. Chalk.
It's Mr.
We
Chalk.
we can wing it a
Um,
little bit, and
we
we're
can
already doing it
definitely.
now. I asked you the question 5 minutes ago.
Right, okay, we should get back onto topic. But first of all, before I do that, this is obviously an international podcast. This is your
Yeah.
first international
Yeah,
podcast.
well, this is the thing. I was just saying to Alex there. She's gone out. Luckily, so I've got the whole house, so I can shout as loud as I want, and we can talk about anything we want. And I was saying this is my first guest, and it's Mr.
Mate,
Peter
I'm
Rothwell.
honoured. I'm honoured.
You should be. You
I've
should
still not
be.
had the pleasure of meeting Alex.
Have you not?
No,
Oh
you've
no, yeah,
kept her
no.
away,
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
you?
You've
You were
you've you.
obviously worried about me meeting her.
You've met my mum and you've met my mum and my brother when we came to Tenerife.
I
You've met
know.
most people, but you haven't met Alex. To be
I'm
fair,
I'm literally
since I've been with Alex since what November, October,
need to
November
get this
20,
right.
November 2019, November 2019, and I think I've only seen you like I was just saying there, what twice, three times?
I know, but you know what's really funny is even though we've only seen each other a few times, we just banter. As soon as you sort of see someone,
Yeah.
you just banter.
Well,
So that's
that's
good.
what that's why I didn't prep, because I was like, with some people, I'd have to have everything regimented. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Like with some clients you have when you're in the
Yeah,
gym. Some clients you can almost turn up to the session and you know the conversation's going to flow. But with some clients, you've got to almost plan every question you're going to ask them
yeah,
because
yeah.
you know what the conversation's going to be like.
Yeah, I mean, it's people, isn't it? Everyone's different, I suppose. Like some people
Oh,
are chatty,
everyone's different. It's
everyone's
one thing you
different.
learn about personal training. Everyone is different.
Everyone's different. Yeah.
Right,
And
getting back
I
onto the
don't know.
question.
Mad.
What
Right.
was your background before PTing and how did you get into it? It's sort of
So,
double whammy that.
double whammy, yeah. So basically, so I finished uni, did sort of business and marketing, and decided. Well, my mum and dad lived in Tenerife. I'd finished my school, like did my A level sixth form, in Tenerife, and then came back to England to Newcastle to go to uni. Finished that, and then decided to move back to Tenerife and took over um, holiday apartments. So it's a business, and they do everything. Like this isn't me plugging them, but from maintenance, bookings, everything, linen cleaning. So we just act as an agent and look after them. And yeah, just got into that. Did that for sort of 4 or 5 years, and then I wasn't feeling it, and I think one of my good friends, he had become a PT, and he actually knows Jimmy that you work with. And he just sort of told me about what he'd done, and that just got me thinking. And then the end, I just made the decision, come back, did sort of quite an intensive personal training course. It was like residential, 6 weeks, literally, eat, sleep, repeat, um,
Not eat,
personal
sleep, rave,
training.
repeat, no.
No, there was no raving. It was just eat, sleep, repeat. Um, and yeah, basically, like you'd study all day, do practical theory, and then on the evening you'd actually do practical in terms of they had a gym and they had outside people, the general public, who would come in and get a PT. That was basically they'd pay peanuts, but they'd get a trainee PT who would obviously be learning the ropes, and obviously it was supervised by the tutors and mentors. But it just meant you did 1 or 2 hours back to back as soon as you'd finish, and that sort of gave you a bit of a feel for what it'd be like in a commercial gym. So yeah, and then I was sort of lucky enough that moved to Newcastle and looking for a job, and similar to yourself, just there was a new gym opening on Gosforth High Street, and just went for an interview and got on with the management.
Yeah, so sorry to cut you off,
And
but
that
I should have said the reason we and Pete know each other is because we first started personal training at the gym group in Gosforth, which is sort of like a sub place of Newcastle. And before that, well, we didn't know each other obviously, and it was both of our first job. It was my first prop job at all, but it was our first personal training job. But that's actually how we know each other. I actually remember the first time. I think I've told you this story. I think I remember the first time I ever seen you. So I remember us both having the chat with Andy and Ricky, with the managers of the gym, like before it was even built. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I can remember that because it was sort of a bit of an informal interview, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was
And
hardly an interview, was it? It was
mate,
literally.
I'm trying to big us up here. I'm trying to big us up. But yeah, I mean, it was relaxed. Let's say relaxed in terms of interview
Because
as interviews
the gym
go.
wasn't open, was it?
No, it didn't exist, did
I
it?
thought I was turning up
Um,
to a building site. I thought I was applied to be a
but didn't
builder or something when I
didn't
first
didn't
got
you
there.
come with a hard hat
Yeah, I
on?
did. In my vest on.
Oh mate, yeah. I'm sure you had a bacon butty as well. But yeah, no, it was, yeah, I think I remember seeing you, and it was just sort of chat with them, and it sort of the dream started from there, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I think when we first got into personal training, we didn't really know what to expect, did we? Like, you hear about it and you hear all of the, oh, with PT, you can earn X amount, you can earn a lot of money,
Yeah.
but you don't really realise. I'm not, to be fair, compared to a lot of people, we were quite lucky that we actually did start the gym when it was being sort of built. We started there from day one. And that
Yeah.
was, I was just saying to Alex earlier, in a few weeks, it'll be exactly 6 years because it was July 15th, 2015 that opened.
Wow.
That was when it
Are we
opened.
gonna are we gonna have like a reunion
I
in
know, I
10
think we
years
should.
with like all the old
I know, I
PTs,
don't
Big
really want to name.
John?
I said I didn't want to name names. Well, Big John could be anyone. Couldn't he?
I mean, how many
Like
Big
his
Johns
first,
are
like
there?
his when we say Big John, his first name was Big and his surname was John. That
Exactly.
that was his name. But yeah, it's actually coming up to 6 years. But I think you answered the question, and that was your background. Well, the funny thing is about your story there, it's almost like your background led to PT, and then you've gone like back over.
Mate, I've gone full circle. I
You've gone
know.
full
I
circle. You're
know.
back doing what you were doing before PTing. But yeah,
And
from
then back PTing again.
well, exactly. Yeah, now you're a hybrid version of it. So
It's like, yeah.
with
Wow.
me, I left six. Well, actually, I was in the second year of sixth form, not really knowing what I wanted to do. Obviously, I was 17, 18, didn't know if I wanted to go to uni. If I'm totally honest, I didn't apply myself that much to sixth form. Like, I was an A-star student, I promise. That's a blatant lie. I definitely was not
Yeah.
an A-star student. And I thought, what do I love doing? I love going to the gym. I love fitness. I was always sporty when I was at school, and I thought I'd love to be a PT, but I didn't know how to get into it. I ended up what are you gonna say?
We're not we're not gonna jump into your like sporting past of school, are we? Because
What do you
that
mean?
story about your football team.
No, we won't go into any. We'll be here for hours. We'll be here for
Do you
hours.
not remember it? Do you remember it though?
Which one are you talking about?
Basically, one where you and your one other mate basically ran a team, and that it was just you against 11,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I want to. I don't want to come across as like cocky or anything like that on my own
No,
podcast. So I'm
no,
just,
no.
not really going into any of that. So anyway, I did my level 2 at New College Durham when I just left sixth form. So what was I, 18? So if you don't know, to become a personal trainer, you first need to do your level 2 in fitness instructing, which is essentially like you don't really learn anything really. If you're a fitness instructor, it's essentially those people behind the desks in a gym who just show people around the gym and do a few little sort of sets and reps of a machine if you're not sure how to use it, but they're not actually allowed to train clients. So did my level 2 and then I got onto a PT qualification. And then I remember when I was like coming towards the end of my PT qualification, I remember getting home and thinking, I'm going to need a job at the end of this. Like I was doing it, but I didn't really think about where I was going to PT. So I'm from Newton Aycliffe, which is 30 miles south of Newcastle, about 45 minutes in the car. But there's not many gyms around there. So, and there's not much potential. If I'm totally like, that's the best way I can put it. There's not loads going on, especially in the fitness side of things. So I remember just getting home one day, typed into Google personal trainer jobs northeast, and the first one that came up was that like the gym group on in Gosforth.
Wow,
And I remember
right.
just clicking on it, not really thinking anything of it. Sent my CV over. Like I didn't know it was getting built or anything like that. I thought it was up and running already. I didn't know that it was like in the
Built
making.
inside.
Yeah, building site, yeah. And I sent another one to a few other places. I sent one to Pure Gym in Long Benton. Do you know that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, I went up, as we mentioned before, had that informal meeting with the managers at the time at the building
Relaxed.
site. Yeah. And then, yeah, got the job. And then obviously I was still living in Newton Aycliffe. So for the first 2.5 years, I'm sure you'll remember this, Pete, I didn't
I
used to
don't know how you
drive.
did that.
I used to get the so this was my sort of travel route. Say if I had say my first client was at 10 a.m. I couldn't do any earlier than 9 because I couldn't get there in time. So so my first client might be at 10 a.m. in the morning. I'd have to leave the house at 10 to 8, right? To get the bus, this is if I couldn't get dropped off at the train station, I'd get the bus for 8 a.m. from Aycliffe, which would take me to Durham. But the thing is about the bus, it doesn't just go straight to the train station. It goes in and out all
Goes
of
around the houses.
the houses, the towns, the villages. You know, just give me a full-on tour every single day of Ferry Hill. Ferry Hill, Chiltern and Spennymoor, like, you know what I mean? It's not the most scenic of tours, so let's just say that. So I'd get on the bus, get to the train station for say 8:45, so that's 45 minutes, then get the train to Newcastle, and then get the metro from Newcastle Central Station to South Gosforth, and then walk to the gym. So it was a 2-hour journey one way. Like, honestly, I don't know how I did it.
Mate, I honestly don't know because, that is a lot of hours and a
It's
lot of miles
Well,
just to
I remember
rock
working it
up.
out with my dad one time, like after 2.5 years of doing it. Well, I knew it, but I didn't really put it into perspective. So let's just say 2 hours one way, and obviously 2 hours getting back. And if you remember, I never used to work Saturdays and Sundays. I used to
Yeah,
always only work Monday to Friday, purely just so I didn't have to do the traveling on weekends. So if I was doing 4 hours worth of traveling times five, that's 20 hours a week traveling. Like,
that's a lot.
that's
That's
nuts,
too
isn't it?
much,
Really,
really,
when
isn't it?
it's a part-time job, and time's money, as they say with PTing. And
It is, yeah.
I don't know how I did that. So anyway, that's my background, and that's how I got into it. I essentially just thought I need a job. No,
Simple as
it wasn't
that.
like that.
Simple as
It's
that.
simple as that. So that's the first question out the way. Next one, I'll go first with this one if you want, or do you want to go?
All right.
Do
No,
you
no,
want? Right,
you're go on and throw it back to me because
right. How long did it take to pick up clients?
I think
Again, we were pretty lucky.
we were pretty lucky. Obviously, like if we'd gone into a gym that was there already, and you're the new boy or the new girl, I think that would be scarier than what we did because obviously you've got an influx of new members and a proportion of them are always going to want PT. Um, but in terms of picking up, I don't think I was like one of the quickest. Um,
I
I
mean,
think
you
it,
were a few months in. You were probably the busiest. But yeah, the start. I suppose at the start.
yeah, yeah. But I think I was lucky in a way because I think when I first started, I helped out a bit with like flyering and stuff. So got to know like the management and stuff, and then you meet members, when you're out and about, and on the street outside the gym and stuff, and they do flyer drops and stuff. Um, but yeah, I think it was a bit of a slow burner, because you've got to get you sort of do these gym tours. Do you remember? And
Yeah.
obviously, someone comes in off the street, and you're like, hello, greet them, right? Show you the gym, and I don't know, like I don't think I was very salesy at the
Yeah.
start, and I think you've
That's
got to
one
be
thing
quite
you don't
salesy.
learn that though.
No, no, you just learn, like where your gastronynia says,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
and
You learn where
like
your
your
gastronomia.
bones.
Yeah. But no one tells you how to sell a block of 10 sessions to Keith the bricklayer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No one teaches you
exactly.
that.
No, so um, you're sort of learning as you go along. Obviously you do a few, and you try and drop the PT card in there. There's going to be personal trainers. Here's my details. You maybe slip them a business card that you've made on. I don't know what websites you use, but
What
like
was the one we used? What was that? Oh, I forgot what it's called. I know. Was it Vistaprint? Vistaprint. That's the
Vistaprint,
one.
yes. So you get like about 1,000 for about £2 or something. and
You think you're
you know,
great,
you've
don't you? You think
made,
you've made it.
yeah, you've spent like a day just laying it out,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that, isn't it? And then you slip them a card, and then you just, fingers crossed. You've mentioned that you do PT, and you just fingers crossed they'll get in touch. So I think it was a bit slow, but yeah, I think what I found was sort of I'm quite good at chatting to people and building like
Yes.
a rapport. Says you, Mr. Question.
There's one thing you need to know about me is that I love a question.
Yeah, so if anyone's listening, Lewis is literally king of 20 questions. So, like, if you go anywhere with him and he doesn't know someone that well, he'll literally ask every question under the sun till he knows everything about them. But yeah, so I think I was going back to me now, off 20 questions. But yeah, just building up that rapport.
Yeah.
So I think it was a slow burner. So maybe they didn't instantly say, right, I'll have PT with you, Pete. But then when I got to see them in the gym and it opened and I was still chatting to them, still seeing them, then they were like, all right, I know this guy. I know he's friendly. He's not going to kill us. He's not going to be mean. And he's easy to talk to.
Yeah.
So then I sort of picked up from that. And then I think it was the fact that to be busy, you've got to look busy.
Yeah.
So it's having those clients at peak times. Even I think I even might have got like people I know just to PT at the very
I remember
start.
you doing that. Yeah, I remember you
They
doing that.
weren't paying, but
Yeah.
people get to see it. It's
Especially in a
almost
public
like
gym.
exactly.
Oh,
So it's
sorry,
like
I should have said, yeah, that the gym group was a public gym, so
yeah,
meaning anyone could go there. You don't have to be with a PT. Whereas a few years later, which I am still currently at, where Pete got me in as well, is a private gym facility where you can only go there if you're with one of the PTs. But back in the day, what we're referring to, the gym, it's a public gym. So like you're saying there, it's almost like you've got constant eyes on you.
I know. Well, basically, just touching back on that, Lewis and I just seem to follow each other, like in various gym settings,
Yeah,
whether
that's a
it's commercial
good.
gym to private to
Yeah,
like CrossFit.
yeah, it's a
We
good
just sort
point
of go
actually.
together. We're just a package. So yeah, I think people get to see you training someone, and you can't really. I mean, there's no better sort of advert, is there, than
No.
someone can physically see you,
So I
what
think
you're
that's
doing.
a good point. So for people listening to this, actually want to get something out of it, is if you're in a public gym, try and look busy even if you're not. Because I think if other
Yeah,
people see that you're training someone, even if it's not your client, it's just your missus or your cousins, dogs, friends, mum or something like that. It's someone.
yeah,
They can see you
exactly.
training someone there, and then it makes other people think, oh, you know, like I want a bit of that.
Yeah,
People are going to ask you questions, and people are going to see you as the authority. Whereas if they only see you doing your gym shift, whereas again, if you didn't know, the gym group, we had to do 12 hours per week. So we're all self-employed, but we had to do 12 hours per week, unpaid, essentially doing things like classes, inductions, tours, and that was essentially like our rent. We didn't physically
yeah,
pay them any money, but we had to just give up 12 hours of our week to work for them where we weren't allowed to train clients. And then outside of that, again, we could train clients. So yeah, like going back to the question, how long did it take to pick up clients? I think you were sum up that. How long did it take to pick up clients?
probably 3, 4, 5 months to
Yeah.
get really busy.
Well, it depends how you categorize it as well, because you could say, well, how long did it take? How many's clients? Is it one client? Is it five clients?
Yeah, well, I suppose it just depends whether they're doing multiple sessions or because you get a lot of people, I
Yeah.
think, just do one a week, and sort of dip their toe like that, and then you have some people that are just like, right, give me 3 or 4
Yeah.
a week. But then, like, you pick up more as well if a PT leaves. You sometimes get their clients. There's lots of ways it
Yeah.
happens when you're doing classes as
Yeah.
well. People get to know you. And so probably about 4, 5 months.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Uh, so for me, I think to be honest, I was probably pretty similar. As we were lucky that because it literally it would have been this time 6 years ago. We had that 2 week period before the gym opened where we were just giving tours to people, and I remember
Yeah,
selling like obviously I was a complete beginner. I was only 19 at the time. Didn't have a clue about selling or anything like that, and I picked up a few clients in that 2 week before the gym even opened, just by
yeah,
showing people around the gym, showing people the benefits of PT. And even though I'd never been PT before because it was my first job, and I think I picked up, I don't know if you did, I think I picked up like 3 clients who, one of them, Neeraj, I still train today.
that's
I
mad,
picked
that.
him up, like he was my first, well, I think it was like the second or third client I ever picked up, and I still train him today, 6 years
Yeah,
later. Um,
that is mad.
so I think I started already with like 3 clients. So it was probably like 6, 7 sessions hours a week for the first few. And then I think after about 6 to 8 weeks, so about 2 months, I think I'd built up to like 12 to 15 hours. And then I remember staying at the gym group, I never really got above 20 hours. Again, because I was traveling so much and just, I don't
Yeah.
know, I just never did. Whereas I think this is going to lead on to my next question as well, but I think everyone's different with how many hours they actually want to do, with PT, and all depends. So going on to my next question is, how many clients slash sessions per week was your optimal?
So when you're saying optimal, that I felt
For you
comfortable.
specifically, yeah. Again, that might be different for other people, but
See,
what did you think for you?
I mean,
Because
I was
you did,
probably
at
guilty.
some point, you did a lot of sessions.
Yeah, I mean, for example of a PT that's living an optimal like work-life balance, I was probably not on the scale of optimal. Because like I just went in big and I was PTing a lot of people at points, and then when you factor in, say I was doing 40 hours of PT, and then you factor in your 12 hours on top, it's
I think that
just
was the
mad.
biggest thing, the 12 hours. When you think 12
No,
hours not paying any gym rent is great when you're a beginner and you're not busy.
yeah,
But if you're
yeah.
doing 35, 40 sessions of PT a week like you were, I wasn't back then, and doing 12 hours for free on top of that.
I know that was wild. Because like I was getting into the gym for opening, and then sometimes I wasn't getting home till 10 at night,
Yeah,
and that is just not. There's no balance there.
it's not ideal, is
Um,
it?
and it's just not good, especially if you're trying to like look after yourself, your physique and stuff like training. You just that starts to slacken, your nutrition slackens because you just haven't got enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
I
hard,
remember
and then
you used to do Sundays to like, you used to work all day, Sundays, Saturday. You were in every day back then.
yeah, it was bad really. I kind of I think I've blocked that out of my mind, but yeah, it was pretty heavy going. But yeah, I mean that wasn't optimal. So going back to your question, maybe 25, 30 is a good number, but then obviously that's not factoring in rent. So rent's on top. That's your 12 hours. But maybe something around there.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd agree. Like with me now, obviously still PTing at Hamer, which is the private facility. My optimal sessions per week, obviously I don't have any 12 hours for free. I just actually pay rent at the end of the month, is around 25 hours. I notice that as soon as I go above 30, you can't get anything else done, especially at the minute training for the Ironman, which is next Sunday, by the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Are
like
you doing an Ironman?
I'm doing an Ironman. Don't tell anyone though.
You hadn't mentioned it. You hadn't mentioned
Don't
it.
tell anyone. Um, if I'm doing like 30 to 35 hours a week, like I was like just over a year ago, well, before COVID, it's it's you feel like you're always in the gym training a client. You don't have time
Yeah.
to work on the business in terms of marketing, in terms of creating content, and that not including anything in regards to a social life with your
Yeah.
missus, with your friends, or anything like that. So 30 hours of PT, when you say to someone who has another job, or 30 hours of PT, it's like, that's nothing. But 30 hours isn't 30 hours. 30 hours is
No.
spread like your mornings, your evenings. You have a dead point in the middle of the day where you do a bit of training yourself anyway, and then you're doing training programs, you're doing this, that, and the other, and trying to juggle it all. So I think for me, going back to the question, the optimal is around 25 sessions a week. If
Yeah.
obviously those sessions are charged appropriately as well. If you're charging £10 an hour, then 25 sessions a week with rent isn't going to be optimal for you. You're going to have to do a
No.
lot more
No.
sessions
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
to earn good money. But that's a whole different topic,
Yeah.
depending on what you charge and obviously how much money you want to be comfortable with, I suppose. So yeah, I think for me around 25 to 28 sessions per week, if not doing the 12 hours gym rent. Right, next one. What
Go on.
what was the worst? So, what was the worst and best thing about being a personal trainer? Or what?
The well, the best thing, I'll go best because that's pretty easy. Is that you can make such like a benefit to someone's life.
Yeah,
Your clients come in and you can, get them to where they want to be, whether that's with their nutrition or fitness. And you can sort of see confidence build in people, and that's really good. When you get those messages and someone says, "Oh, I've like fitted in my jeans," I know that I've never fitted in for years, or you know they've met someone, or just anything like that that they're chuffed about. Um, I'd probably say that. Obviously, you're promoting health and nutrition and living a good life. But obviously, if you're like I was, wasn't doing that myself, but I was getting my clients to do that. But
it's like you're not practicing what you preach in the early days, are you?
I know. But then, so I'd probably say they're some of the best stuff. I mean, what do you think's some of the best stuff?
Well, I'd say, well, in terms of helping people, that's obviously the
Yeah,
reason you're a personal trainer is to get someone from A to B.
yeah,
Whether their goal is, I don't know, fat loss or muscle gain or improve their overall health and performance, whatever it may be, that's obviously a great thing. But in terms of yourself, it's being self employed, having the
yeah, yeah,
freedom. Freedom, I say that loosely because again, you can get tied to it and end up doing more work than a standard 9 to 5 would do. But I think one thing I like being a PT is that you can, have what's sort of a good and a bad thing. You can have holidays whenever you want. You can say, "Oh, I'll just
yeah.
take that week off," but then you've got to remember you're not getting paid for it.
That's it. Yeah, that's the only thing. But I mean, the worst thing was touching on that in holidays is that you still have to do your rent every week, those 12 hours.
Oh
So
yeah, back in the gym group, yeah,
back in the
yeah.
gym group. So like Lewis will agree with me here, but basically if you went away for a week, right?
Oh, that
So
was
you would
hot.
do
I forgot about that.
well, you'd do the 12 hours, right? Someone you'd have to find someone. So you might get like Chalky here to cover you.
We haven't actually said why we call each other Chalky either.
No, we haven't actually. We haven't actually.
Go on, briefly
Um,
tell it. Why do we say Chalky?
I
Can you
mean,
remember?
I mean, I don't know if I can
So,
fully remember.
so I
I've
walked
got
in
an
when we were in the.
idea.
So my side is when we worked at the gym. So what, 3 4 years ago? I remember walking
Yeah,
into the staff room. I'd just come in, after me 2 hour travel, and I walked in, burst through the door, and I was like, "Morning, Chalky," and you looked at me and you were like, "Chalky, what the hell is what the hell is
yeah,
Chalky?" And I was
yeah.
essentially just saying that it's sort of just another word for saying mate. It's like a slang term, I think, from like County Durham way for
I
saying
mean,
mate.
I've never heard anyone else use that word, but
So ever
I'll go
since
with
then, we
that.
call each other Chalky. But there's
So
that
it's
one cleared
stuck.
up anyway.
There it is. So yeah, so going back to the holiday and rent. So you'd probably get Lewis here, right? Lewis, can you cover these 12 hours? Go on then. And then he's got now 24 hours, right? So that obviously you would try and spread it out with other PTs, but then it means you've got to keep track of how many hours those other PTs have done, and then you're going to have to cover them back. And it just means that if I've got like a busy week, 40 clients, my 12 hours, and then Lewis goes, I just need to call that favour in with my rent. I'm going away for the weekend. It's like, oh, now you've just maybe put another 3-4 hours on my week. So I think my headphones have gone. Like,
Can you
do you
hear
hear
me?
me now?
Can you can you hear me? So I'm sorry for everyone who's listening, but I think I had my mic on mute, and now Peter thinks that his headphones have gone when it was actually my mic I'd put on mute.
You're joking. Right, these
Can
headphones
you
at work potentially.
can
Right,
you did
let
you
me.
hear what I just said there?
It was your mic.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I keep muting
How was
every
that?
time you. Eh?
How did you mute it?
So on my microphone, there's a button to mute it. So every time you talk, I'm muting it so I can take a drink and I can
Yeah,
eat my poppers without the sound coming through the
yeah.
microphone. But I've muted it when you started speaking and then forgotten to unmute it when I started speaking.
I've been testing my speakers, testing my headphones, and it's all your end, right? Let me just put these headphones on
Right, go
one
on
sec.
then.
Um,
Right, I paused that by the way. We're back. We're back rolling. We're back rolling. Sorry
great,
for that
great. Sorry
slight
about that
technical
inconvenience.
difficulty, aka my fault.
So where were we there?
I can't remember. About
Oh, covering
the
covering
covering the
that.
hours. So you essentially end up doing like 65 hours a week if you're covering someone else's shifts. But the thing is, a third of them are for free.
I know, I know. So it just kills you.
It's
And then I think the novelty wore off, didn't it? So
yeah,
the longer we were at the gym group,
yeah,
the less people were like, "Yeah, I'll cover you."
yeah,
So then you sort of go into management saying like, "I'm going on holiday, but no one's covering me." So it was just a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, I actually totally forgot about that until you said I can't like because I can't imagine doing it now.
No.
Covering the hours. There was pros and cons. I haven't actually got this question down in my notes, but I'm just thinking there as we're talking about it. What would you recommend? I'll go first, actually. What would you recommend for someone getting in to personal training? Like, how would you recommend a beginner going about it? I would say, obviously, do all your qualifications and stuff like that. You can't just rock up and say you're a PT. You need to do your qualifications, and I would really recommend going the way we did. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe that's slightly biased, but going into a public gym first, just so you can get yourself amongst the gym atmosphere, be around other PTs, and you've almost got a plethora of people to be able to sell to. You've got hundreds of people every single day coming in and out of the gym, and you can speak to them on your shift, and you can pick up clients. I don't want to say easier, but you've got more potential in a public gym. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend going into a public gym first instead of going into a private gym, unless you've got like a massive social media following or you've got loads of people lined up already to be a client. If you're starting from absolute zero, go into a public gym for at least a year so you can pick up some clients that way because you're in the gym anyway.
Just to add to that as well, that you sort of touched on, but you sort of learn your craft, I
Yeah,
think, by doing that. And because it's a public gym, you're going to get an array of different people. So it helps you work out sort of what your ideal customer is,
yeah,
and just how you can help different people and what different people need. And then obviously, as you pick up clients, you maybe then would go towards a certain client or customer because you maybe fit in with the way they want to train or the style. And then you've got a bit more of a niche. And then
yeah.
when you move to another, like a studio or a personal training facility, you've got that niche sort of tied down.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think being in a public gym when you start out really does help. So
definitely.
yeah. So next question. Oh, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just trying to think what else was bad about working in that sort of facility.
Oh, did we finish?
We,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't,
That was the.
yeah,
Oh, so yeah, the best thing. Well, I sort of did touch on it, didn't I? I was saying the best thing obviously is about helping other people and being self-employed.
yeah,
The
yeah,
worst thing, um, it's hard, isn't it? Because when you're in the gym, it's different depending on the location as well.
yeah,
Because
yeah, definitely.
right now, what is the worst thing? I suppose it's clients sometimes, like to put it in the nicest way possible. As going back to what we were saying at the start, is no matter how good of a PT you are, you're still going to get some people who just take the piss. People take the piss, don't they?
Yeah,
Like people or message you saying, "Oh, I want PT and I've seen your Instagram, blah blah blah. I want to lose weight for my wedding," and they tell you the whole life story, right? And then you book them in for a consultation for Monday 6 p.m. and you're texting them, you know, Sunday evening, see you tomorrow 6 p.m. and they're like, "Yep, be there, see you then."
yeah,
Gets to Monday 2 p.m. See you in a few hours. Yep, see you then. Gets to 6 o'clock, no show. You text them
yeah,
at 6:30 and you go, "Where you're at?" I thought, "Are you coming?" And they don't respond, and then you never hear from them again.
yeah. Or
That
they come up with horrendous
or
excuse
just some bullshit excuse, yeah.
like the dog ate the car key or something.
Yeah, like the dog ate the car key, the cat's eating the husband or something.
Bloody yeah,
They're the word
it's a
that
big cat.
it's a tiger. It's a tiger. Well, I'd say that's the worst thing about being a PT is just having to deal with some people who aren't the best at communicating and just take the piss a little bit. That's the worst thing about being a PT, and I'm sure other people who are PTs listen to this, and you would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sort of all your clients and potential clients all come with unique problems, and it's sort of
You're
you've got
almost
to
a
be a
counsellor.
problem solver.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are.
it's
Because I feel that people are happy to open up to you.
yeah.
Say it's no problem at home, they maybe wouldn't want to say that to their partner, whereas you're sort of
Half the time it's
third
about them.
party. Well, yeah, exactly. You're sort of like third party, almost a counsellor, which is good, I suppose, that, people talk to you, but then, you're trying to get them trained, aren't you? And
Yeah.
slows the process sometimes.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's probably the worst thing about being a PT is is some people, not all, just some.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that one. Next one. I'll go first on this, so I'm not because I'm putting you on the spot a
Okay.
little bit, so I'll give you time to
Okay.
think.
Oh,
Funniest
thanks.
client stories. So I'll go first, and I'll let you think. So I was trying to when I was writing this, I was like, I can't really think of anything like.
I wish you'd give me notice on this
I
because
know.
now I'm literally like mind's blank, but
I'll
I'm
go
sure
first
there's some
anyway. So
gold
I know you've
stories
had a
there.
few of these. This what I'm gonna say because I remember you telling me about it. So clients who fart in the session. So that's all. No, I haven't muted it this time. Can you hear me? Sorry for the technical difficulty again. So anyway, I was saying funniest client stories. Clients farting in the gym in the session. So
Oh,
I had one. Well, obviously I'm not going to name her. She's done it a couple of times, right? And
serial farter.
yeah, serial farter that one. So it's one of those where it's always either on the leg press or doing some type of core exercise. So there was
Cool.
one particular
Yeah.
time where it was um she was complaining that she'd had a bit of a bad stomach, like she had at the start of the session, and it was a lower body session. We'd done deadlifts, lunges, and then I got her on the leg press, and then building up, and she's quite strong as well, and she was building up to quite a heavy weight, relatively speaking, and one, two, three, gets to like the fifth rep, and lo and behold, she lets this absolute atomic bomb off when she's when she's pressing, you're pushing the leg press up. But it's one
Yeah.
of those when you're a PT where it's like,
Oh,
do
you
you
don't know what to
acknowledge
do.
it or do you just let it go? Do you
Oh,
just pretend you didn't hear it? And I chose the option of pretending I didn't hear it. Thing is, it depends on the client, doesn't it? If it's, you get some clients who swear all the time and who just are a lot more relaxed. And
yeah.
with those, obviously, you wouldn't. But some people, it's just really awkward. So I went for the option of pretending I didn't hear it.
Is that not a risky strategy when you've
It
just
is.
explained the fart as atomic and
Well,
the
that's the worst thing because it happens. But I didn't prep in my mind for it to be happening. Like I didn't plan. Oh, what's the contingency plan if someone farts?
well, they don't
So
teach you that, do they?
exactly,
Yeah.
they don't teach you sales, and they don't teach you about clients farting. It's not a module.
There should be a full module on embarrassing client stuff.
Exactly. So anyway, it happens, and I'm just like, this is all happening within a split second. I'm thinking, do I pretend that I haven't heard it, or do I just laugh it off? And I'm like, nah, I can't. I'll just pretend I haven't heard it. And then she's just like, oh, my stomach, and I'm like, you all right? And she's like, yep. And then she finishes the set, and she's just like, oh yeah, yeah, my stomach's hurting a bit. And I was like, oh yeah, the set looked fine, just totally blank as if I didn't hear it, even though there was no way that
So
I
was
didn't
that at
hear
the
it.
start of the set? Like first rep?
No, it was like the fifth rep. So it was like
Right.
halfway through.
So that, let's say fifth rep and
Yeah.
she's doing a set of what, 10?
Like say 10 or 12, I can't remember.
10, and you're going in your head, like, just let that off.
So it's
What?
like 4, 5,
Ignore. Ignore.
6, 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Oh,
I've had a few of those to be fair, like with clients. Um, but I don't think I've had any absolute catastrophes or anything like that. I don't know if you can think of any, but
I mean, obviously, I wish you'd give me a little prep time on that a bit longer because I would have like dug deep for some stories. 'Cause I
in
feel
the
there is some.
archive.
But I mean, it was. I also did not just in the gym, but I also did home visits,
Oh yes, you did, didn't you?
clients, um, which is different. Like, it obviously offers up a new set of challenges, but yeah, like obviously I won't name names, but went to this person's house, and just similar to your story, it was any sort of core work
Yeah, I remember you telling me
just
this.
initiate like farting. And the worst bit is I didn't have an option to just ignore it. Because
Yeah.
occasionally it would happen, it'd be small enough you can ignore. But the worst is you've got to then factor in what the client is thinking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you've just given us that story from your headspace, like, what do I do? Do I ignore or do I say something? Well, the problem is I didn't have that option because the client then has that option. Do they just keep going or do they say something? And quite often the client jumps in to break that awkwardness and they'll blame, like, I remember they used to blame the veg they'd eaten like the day before. Oh, had a
It's
lot
all
of
the broccoli.
broccoli or potatoes. And you're just like, oh, okay, let's just push on through.
Not literally.
Not literally. But yeah, I mean that's a bit wild. Yeah,
I
I'm
think they're
trying
the
to
main
think.
things. Like nothing crazy. I'm trying to think of a. I mean, I think in a public gym when we're in the gym, there's a lot more things going on because obviously there's a lot more members, there's a lot more
Yeah,
people. Whereas when you're in a private facility, you see like the same people every single day, pretty much. And there's not that much of a difference every
yeah,
single day. But when you're in a public gym, obviously there's people coming in and out all the time.
yeah. I'd like to survey, like, all the other PTs that were there when we were there,
Yeah.
because I bet we could write a book
Oh
on
yeah.
like some of the crazy stuff. I remember crazy stuff happening.
Can you remember that guy in the gym who used to turn up and train in his boxers?
Oh
Can you
yeah,
remember that guy?
can remember that guy. What about the guy? Well, there's a couple of guys that come in jeans, train in jeans, or come
How
in
I don't understand. How does one wake up and go, right, I'm gonna go to the gym, get some clothes, and then go, you know what? I'm not gonna put my shorts on for this session. I'm gonna put some denim bootcut jeans on.
well, yeah, but what if they're just trying to save time? You know, they think, right, I've got one outfit for the day. I'm going to go and do my business, and then I'm going to go to the gym and just push out a workout, then back to work.
I mean, time efficiency
They've
101, I
optimized the time
suppose.
there, haven't
They have a little bit, but the time to comfort ratio surely isn't balanced.
Well, I know, I know. But do you remember that time when I met you and Jimmy and Aiden's, I think it was, and I'd come over.
Aiden, just to clarify, Aiden is a calf,
Yeah.
not in Aiden's just as a person.
Yeah, that'd be a bit weird. Yeah, so I met you and you were like, me and Jimmy are doing a session. And I was literally on my holidays just visiting
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
And I was like, I've only got my jeans. And I was like, I didn't work out in my jeans, but this was a private
Yeah,
facility.
so no one
Uh,
else could see.
no one else could see. And you know what, Lewis? I'm going to
What
say now, the comfort issue wasn't really an issue.
was it? Not
They were
you
a
wear
tight,
skinny jeans as well. I mean, we both wear skinny, quite
they were
tight
a
fitting
tight
jeans.
jean. And if anything, I think I was stronger.
No, you
I
weren't
think
doing
that
any legs
compression
though.
of the legs led to upper body strength increase.
Right, right. So next question: the best way, in your opinion, obviously, to pick up clients as a in-person uh, personal trainer. We'll go for in a public gym and in a private gym. So we'll separate it.
Okay, so public, talk to everyone, say hello. Just start with hello. As many people as you can. Um, just keep, like a mental image of them. Maybe find out what their name is, and then just layer that on. So every time you see them, if you see them doing something, just have a bit of chat with them. And just get to know a bit about what they're doing, what the training is, about their life, and just build up that rapport. And then, sort of months down the line, potentially they'll turn around and PT. But you
Yeah.
need to build that rapport. Don't just go in there hard sell, because you might get one or two that would do it, but the hard sell puts a lot of people off. I think it makes you a little bit desperate.
Yeah.
I'd build up the rapport, talk to people, try and take some classes if you've got an option of that, because people get to see that. Get busy. You've got to be busy to, look busy to get busy. So, like we touched on earlier, if you can get your pals or people you know, maybe give them a free session or two, just at peak times when the gym's busy. People get to see what you're about, things like that. There's loads of other things, having maybe some training plans or some, I don't know, nutrition recipes, things like that you can give to people that maybe in your class when you're finished, give them something, a bit of a freebie. It just builds a bit of rapport and you're giving them something.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think in a public gym, that one you just said there, and as we've touched on, is look busy, even if you're not. It's like the
Yeah,
fake it till you make it. Um,
exactly, yeah.
make sure you book people in, like I said, whether it's friends, family, whatever, at a time when it's busy in the gym, aka between 5 and 7 p.m. on weekday evenings. And then people are going to see your PT, and so people are going to see you as the authority. And you're going to be higher in their rankings of people they're going to go to if they do want a PT, or even if they just want to know any type of information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
And I think another one in public gyms, well, I suppose it can apply to being a PT at all, is just referrals as well.
Referrals, because what's great about that is your client that's potentially referred them, or the person that's referred them, has done the hard work of selling
Yeah,
you.
you don't need to do anything.
you've just got to close that really.
Yeah. So it's almost like just saying to your clients who you're already training, give if you refer one of your friends or family members to train with me, if they do a block booking of, let's just say, 5 or 10 sessions or a month, however you do it, like let them have a free session or something like that. Give them an
Yeah,
incentive
yeah.
to want to
Reward
refer.
them,
Because at the end of the day, you're going to make that money back. If you give someone a free session, let's just say you're charging, I don't know, 40 quid. If you give that free session and you're missing out on 40 quid, but then you've got their friend who's done 10 sessions with you and paid you 350 quid, you're 310 quid up. And then
yeah.
they're probably going to stay with you for quite a long time.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It makes sense to sort of reward them, whether it's
Yeah.
a session.
So I think, yeah, that one in a public gym, look busy to get busy, referrals, and I think just talking to people. Did we mention that one? Yeah, we did mention that one, didn't we? Just
Yeah,
talk to
just
as
building
many
that
people as you
rapport.
can.
So it's not a case of, you don't have to ask them what their fitness goals are. It's just, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Then next time you see them, oh, what are you doing today? You know,
That
what
makes
are you,
such a
what,
difference, doesn't it? Just being
yeah,
a people's person and not coming across as salesy.
yeah,
Like if you, you remember some other PTs who we worked with, it's like
yeah,
when they don't want to talk to anyone, and then when they do talk to someone, you can tell they're almost just trying to sell straight away. They'll be asking someone, "Oh, what they're doing today at the gym? Can I show you this, technique on the bench press?" And then they're like, "Book some sessions." It's too full on. You're
yeah.
not building
It's,
a rapport.
it's like a hard sell, isn't it? People
Yeah, it
don't
is.
like a hard sell.
People don't want to be sold to. So I think if you almost just don't even mention PTing until they ask, obviously. But if you
Yeah,
just straight away go in about PTing, it's like people don't want to know. Well, people do want to know. But people don't want to spend the money, whether they need it or not. 9 times out of 10, if you just help them and be, just someone who helps them out within the gym, they're probably going to come up to you and ask for PT at some point anyway. And even if they don't, they might refer someone else who was asking about it, and they might.
yeah. Well, it's that whole thing, if you help someone out, then generally you get that back further down
Yeah.
the line, and that could be from a client or a referral.
Yeah. And I think a private gym, obviously, you don't have that. So I think in a private gym, you need to make sure you've got some type of foundational client base. So you actually
Yeah,
have some leeway. So if you get a little bit quieter, you've always got those foundational clients. Like I have got clients who I've trained for years, and I know that no matter what, I'm going to have those clients who are going to stay and they'll keep me on the bread line at minimum,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, and then obviously a lot of it is done through referrals again and social media. And they're probably the main things where private gyms really, because you don't have the people to speak to in person.
Well, the only other things I'd add, you didn't do this, did you? But I used to go to a couple of sort of like, what would you call them?
Networking
Like
events. Networking
business,
events.
yeah, networking
Yeah.
events. Sorry, um, I couldn't think of the word there. But yeah, so I used to go to them, and I'd have my little stand, um, and sort of talk to people there. That gets more awareness. And then sometimes they have these like networking breakfasts where, like, I don't know, once or twice a month you go along, and there may be someone fitness related there. There might be an accountant. There might be a lawyer. Like someone from a different industries, and you sit down and have a breakfast and try and network and see if there's any way you can refer each way. So there's little things like that, but yeah, like you say, it's going to be referrals. It's going to be social media.
Yeah, and I think another one, what I've learned quite recently actually, is when someone asks about PT, or even if you're just trying to market in general, is almost not, it sounds slightly contradictory, but not selling personal training, trying to sell more of an outcome. So if
Yeah,
someone wants to get from A to B, let's just say, again, just to generalize it, someone wants to lose a stone for the wedding in 12 weeks, so three
yeah,
months.
yeah,
Sell them on what they can be and what they want to achieve. If someone says, "Oh, I want to I want to lose that weight for my wedding, and you just go, okay, 10 sessions is X amount. And it's just like, right, okay. They're just going to go and ask every other PT and then just wait for the cheapest one.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, you don't want to be just trying to undercut every other PT. But if someone asks you, I want to lose that weight for the wedding, and you're like, great, well, this is how I can help. Ask them about what they're currently doing and then say, right, well, if you do this and if you join me, then I'm going to get you to your wedding looking, feeling, performing better because we've improved your diet, we've improved your training, you're selling them on the outcome and that's what they will be. So they'll get to the wedding feeling great, they've been consistent and they know they couldn't really have done anything else to look and feel better for the wedding. Whereas if they just came to you, like I said, and said they wanted to be X weight for the wedding and you just sold them on PT sessions, it's like people want the outcome.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
No,
something what
definitely.
sort of just clicked more with me in the last year, maybe. Um, that's quite a big one because I used to hear people say that, like other PTs, um, who I used to listen to for advice, and I understood what they meant, but
Yeah,
I didn't at the same time. I was like, does that mean I don't sell PT? It's like, no, 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 you still sell PT, but you're selling what they want to be. You don't really mention, oh, well, I do PT sessions, I charge 35, £40 a session, and then not mention anything else. You need to sell them on what they want and tell them what they can be.
got to sell a dream, haven't you?
Yeah, essentially, but not doing obviously not doing it in like a scammy way.
No, not like,
You know, we're not
but
doing it. Yeah, we're not doing it in a scammy way. That we're doing it in a way which, at the end of the day, we know that if they follow everything we tell them to do, they will look and feel and perform better. It's
yeah,
we know what we're doing. Like I know how. Like for this Ironman, I didn't know anything about triathlon. I've followed a program and I've made sure I've just ticked off every single week, done the sessions, made sure my nutrition's on point, and
yeah,
lo and behold, it's the next week and I'm ready for it. Like if
yeah,
you said a year and a half ago that you'd be doing this, I'd be like, not a chance.
yeah.
But if I didn't have a plan in place, I wouldn't really have the structure to be able to do it.
Well, but that's the thing, isn't it? How many people are going to the gym, like general public, and they just don't have a training plan, and they
Yeah,
just eat what they want,
yeah,
and they maybe want to lose weight. Well, that's just never going to happen
yeah,
because you've got to have some structure to both of those things.
yeah.
It's just, just turning up and hoping something happens
Yeah.
and it
And I think
works.
the hardest part about selling PT is that getting that across to people.
Yeah,
Like we know how beneficial it is to train and eat well. And that they do to some extent, obviously. But it's getting across how much better they actually will feel if they just
yeah.
follow the plan we've told them to do.
And I think the problem with that is that quite often people have tried like loads of daft things,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
bad diets and you know, short-term fixes, quick fixes, and that's given them an idea. And then you're saying, well, we're going to do this. It might be a lot more expensive to what they've done before, although you pay for what you get essentially. So if they've done something that's not worked, that's probably because it was quite cheap in your short term. Whereas you're now trying to say, look, you can get you here. In their head, they're going, really? Can you?
Yeah.
Because they've got all that bad feeling from the things they've tried before.
Yeah. So I think the hard part is just getting across to that person that you can get them there and you're not like other people.
Yeah.
I think you've almost got to package up what you're doing, and that's why I think niching is quite helpful as well. I,
Definitely.
I'm saying that, but I think when you first start out, the first few years of personal training in a public gym, I think, in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, but you should just generalize. You should
Yeah.
almost just train anyone and everyone because then you can almost whittle down the people you're like, I like training this type of people. I don't like training these type of people. And then you can find your niche that way. Whereas I think if you try to niche down, like in the first few months of us working at the gym, it would be quite hard because you don't know what
Yeah.
you do and don't like.
Well, I remember there was a PT when we first started. I won't name names, but they came into it and they were very much like from a bodybuilding perspective. Um, and
From
I
day
don't
one.
know what.
Do you mean from when we first started? I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about.
Oh, from like the commercial gym.
Right, yeah.
And they were into that, bodybuilding, and obviously they thought their niche would be bodybuilders, yeah. But I remember, I think one of the management might have given this lead to them, who was like a middle-aged woman,
Yeah.
and wasn't wanting to be a bodybuilder in
Yeah.
any way. And I remember they trained them for an hour, like a free session. And I remember talking to that PT, and they were like, "I really enjoyed that." And you think, well, that's completely different to what they were set out to do, because they're a bodybuilder, they want to do bodybuilding, and then they've just trained this middle-aged old woman, and they've really enjoyed it, and her goals are completely different to a bodybuilder's goals. So yeah, I think it just lets you work out what you want to do, but
Yeah.
also it's the fact that it's general population. So unless you start working in a bodybuilder gym, there's going to be more of a niche there, isn't there? Like it's going to be more bodybuilders that go. If you go a CrossFit gym, there's more CrossFitters. So if you go a general population gym, is you're going to have an array of people, and like we both had quite a mix of people.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we had students
Yeah.
that are because there's obviously in Newcastle two big unis, isn't there? So you've got students, and then you've got people that are maybe in their 60s, and then you've got everyone in between that.
It's literally, well, it is anyone and everyone when you first start, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is literally anyone and everyone. And don't get me wrong, like when I'm PTing now, I still have all my foundational clients. I do have a lot of mixed bag of people,
yeah,
um, age ranges, fitness levels, everything. But if I'm honest, what I found, again, this might be different for other PTs, but my clients who are self-employed or business owners themselves are usually the best who it's weird because they struggle the most with their time management, but they're the best with adhering to turning up to sessions and stuff because they
yeah.
understand what
Well,
it's
they
like.
understand, yeah, because being self-employed, that's the only thing, isn't it? Like, if you're salaried, there's almost that safety blanket.
Yeah,
I turn up, even if I'm not my best today, I'm still get my salary. Whereas if you're self-employed, if you don't get out of bed, you don't make any money.
yeah,
So I think they understand that, don't they?
yeah. So going back to what I was saying, I think niching down as you've gone past your first few years of training the general public, then you can start to whittle down what type of person you want to target. And at the end of the day, if you start niching down, you're going to you're going to tailor your messaging to those type of people, and people
Yeah,
are going to see you as the person they want to work with. But at the start, when you're in a public gym, you just want to generalize, I think, and just talk to anyone and everyone. Figure out who you like training, who you don't like training, and then niche down that way.
yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So this is pretty much the last question now. Is quitting your job and becoming a personal trainer worth it?
Who's starting this one, you or me?
You go.
There you go. Um, yeah, I definitely think it is. If it's your passion, and you think you can make a success of it, and I think you should do it. But I mean, you don't have to just quit your job like tomorrow and then, plan to quit your job. Have an idea. You could go part-time with your current job whilst you build up your other side. Just don't go full out and then straight into PT. That's what I'd say. But yeah, I mean, if there's like so many people, obviously they don't want to do an office job, just sat there. They want to help people and make a difference, and PT is obviously a great way to do that. So I just say plan, just plan, plan, plan. Um, don't just because obviously you might be a person that wants to quit and then jump straight into PT, and that might motivate you. But for a lot of people, you've got overheads, you've got bills, and you're putting a lot of stress and pressure. Um, and I just, I don't think that's the best way to do it. But yeah, what would you say?
Yeah, I think it's all relative, isn't it? For some people, it'll be the best thing they ever do, and for some people, it could potentially be the worst thing they ever do. Like, again, I don't want to name names on the podcast, but if you can remember one person, one woman from the gym group in Gosforth,
Oh yes, I forgot
and
about that person.
she used to love cleaning the dishes in the staff room. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
she was probably, I don't know, early 40s, was she at the time? Probably.
yeah,
And she'd obviously quit her job to become a personal trainer. And I think it was her first job as a PT. So she didn't have any clients like we all didn't at the very start. Um, but as all of us were picking up clients, like 6 months down the line, she's had like one client or next to no clients. I barely remember her training anyone within 6 months. And this isn't being nasty or anything. It's just the truth. It's facts. And I think, where did she go wrong? There's probably quite a few things she could have done, but it's one of those where if she might have just gone into PT and thinking that it was going to be something which would be quite financially beneficial and something she enjoyed, but really she found out that she didn't really enjoy it and she struggled to pick up clients.
yeah. I used to feel so bad for her when obviously she still had to do the 12 hours
Yeah,
rent,
yeah,
and that's 12 hours of a week, and she had maybe 1 to 2, if that, hours of actually paid, clients, and it's like, at what point do you call it a day there? I mean,
yeah.
I just feel
How long
she
did
was,
she work there for? She was must about a year. It must have been over a year. Must
yeah,
have been.
yeah,
And if you think about that, over a year of training a handful of clients, delivering I would say within a year. Again, obviously I wasn't there 24/7, but she mustn't have done more than like 30 PT sessions in a year,
yeah. Well, no, I don't think she would have. No,
which is
um,
which is mental when you think about it.
it is really, it is.
So I think for those types of people, it's hard to know until you start out. But unless you know your stuff, you're confident with the outcomes you can provide for people, and you have a strategy of how you're going to get clients, then great. But if you don't and you just go into it thinking it's going to be, oh yeah, I'll pick up clients, I'll earn 40K a year, it's probably not going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, but I mean, like, how many, especially if working in a commercial gym, like, how many people did we see come and go
Oh
whilst
yeah,
we stayed?
oh yeah. It's like a conveyor
Um,
belt.
and there was other PTs that would come and go, but they'd maybe been at 2 or 3 different gyms,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, it can't be all the gyms that are the reason you're not
No.
picking clients. It must be something you're not doing potentially, or something you are doing that isn't working.
And I think getting clients is one of those, as we've just discussed. It isn't easy, but I think you've just got to maximize all your options, referrals, social media, just everything. And if some people will do all that and still not get many clients, and then you've almost got to think. Obviously, you can plug away at it, but after a certain amount of time, you've got to think: is this actually doing me any good?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you've got, with obviously being self-employed, you've got to be a proactive person. So you've got to go out and get it. You can't expect it to come to you.
Yeah,
So if you're not that way inclined, maybe being self-employed is not for you, and maybe PT isn't for you, because at the end of the day, you have to sell.
yeah,
It'd be great if someone just went, Pete, here's 20 clients,
doesn't work like
they
that.
all want a PT, and then you just work with them, and you may be great at people person, but like, how many PTs did we see that you go, yeah, he's a good PT, but he cannot talk to anyone. They
It's
don't have
it's
that
it's weird,
social
isn't
skill.
it?
And then you see a PT who potentially doesn't have the skills set, but they can talk really well to people. They can work with different people. So it's that trade-off, isn't it?
I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's like you just said, you could have the best PT in the world, but have no social etiquette or
Yeah.
know how to speak to people, and they won't
Yeah.
pick up any clients, or they might pick up a few, purely just of the knowledge, but not many. Or you could have the complete opposite end, like you said, someone who just knows how to talk the talk and talk to anyone, but is a crap PT. And one person comes to mind, and I think you all know who I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
Again, without naming many names, but they know how to speak to people and they pick up clients. But someone who doesn't have that much knowledge and know what they're doing in regards to actually personal training, the job you're there to do, but you're great at talking, the clients probably aren't going to stay for that long because they're
No.
thinking, oh, yeah, I can have a conversation. But then 3 months are going to go by and think, what have I actually achieved?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's getting the right balance.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
So is
Um,
quitting your job and becoming a personal trainer worth it? Yes and no.
yeah. Yeah. We've clarified that one. No. Well, it's just everyone's different, aren't they? So I would say it's more being self-employed.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
the person
Yeah.
thrive being self-employed or not? If you're comfortable getting a salary and having that safety net, then maybe a PT, a self-employed PT is not for you because you will get stressed. I mean, we used to have the chats, didn't we, when maybe it's a quiet time of the year
Yeah. I mean,
and
it happens. It doesn't matter how busy you are. You're going to have some times of the year where it's quiet. And
well,
mine, I was just going through it like two,
yeah,
3 months ago.
any industry really, if you're self-employed, you'll
True.
go through
True.
like highs and lows. And it's, we used to sit in the staff room if we had a bit of time off and just say like, oh, got a bit of that anxiety. And it's like, what do you mean? Well, I've maybe 5 hours down this week, and you might still be 30 hours up, but you were used to 35 and you just get that anxiety because at the end of the day, if you have no clients, you don't get money, you don't have a salary, do you?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it just goes back to if you're passionate about it, do it.
Yeah.
And it probably will work out. But yeah, have you got any other questions you can think of at the top of the head or any points or anything? If
Um,
not, doesn't matter, obviously, because we've covered quite a bit there.
what was I going to say? How have you found sort of balance in PT and doing all your training for this triathlon? Because like the messages I get from you is obviously you're training hard,
Yeah, I mean,
doing a lot of
again,
hours. So
I haven't really
how are you
tough.
managing that?
So before doing Ironman training, which started, I've done a few videos on this. It started properly. Well, I started running around when lockdown first started, so like March 2020, when me and Jimmy, the lad who work with who owns the gym, first mentioned about doing an Ironman. Obviously, I didn't have any background, didn't have a bike, didn't know how to swim properly, but obviously I knew that I could just go out the door and run. So I started running then. So that didn't really affect the business at all. But then I picked up my bike and started swimming in September. So I've still been actual triathlon training where all three disciplines are incorporated into my routine only like 9 months, which is mental that I'm doing an Ironman, like the longest distance one you can do. Um, so it is hard, I'm not going to lie, especially the last 3 months. Like we started our proper training program in January, the beginning of the year. First few months were all right. Like, yeah, it was more like in terms of volume and total training time, but it was still doable. But I said to myself, I'm going to have to limit it 25 hours a week. And to be
Yeah,
fair, the last few months, I've only been doing like 20 to 22 PT sessions a week. And I've had to do that to fit the training in because
yeah,
some training sessions are so long. So finding the right balance is hard. But again, it's one of those where I'm lucky that I'm a PT, that I can move people around. I can,
yeah. You can
sorry,
be
someone's just,
flexible.
yeah, I can say to people, look, I can't do this time because I'm going to be training. It sounds selfish, but sometimes, you've just got to think about yourself and your own training as well. So it has been
Yeah,
hard, but it's been doable. And now that I'm only 8 days out from it, 4th of July is the event. Like, I'm ready. Me and Jimmy were both saying this the other day. We're ready for it now. Like, we're looking forward to just getting it done.
yeah,
Because it feels like it's been so long in the making. We're ready. It's weird because we're almost less motivated now to do the sessions
yeah,
because it's like we're so we just want to do it now. Whereas say a few months ago,
yeah,
at the start of the year, well, up until the last 2 months, we weren't ready for it mentally or physically. So you're building up to it. So you're constantly motivated to do the sessions. Whereas now we're ready for it. It's like, oh, I've got to do another 3 hour
yeah.
cycle. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to do the Ironman now.
That is full on. Did it get delayed with COVID then?
No, not well. Last year's didn't go ahead.
Oh,
So
really?
it happens every year in around July. Every year it happens.
Yeah.
But last year was cancelled. So this year's next week is the first one since 2019.
Oh, really?
And obviously, when we decided we were going to do this in like beginning of lockdown last year, so what, 15 months ago, we
Yeah,
decided we were going to do this one because there was no way we were going to train for the 2021, which didn't happen anyway, in like
yeah,
4 or 5 months, considering we're both beginners at triathlon. Um, so to answer the question, yeah, it's been hard, but it's doable, and it just shows, referring back to clients, that no matter how busy they are, if they dedicate enough time and are motivated enough, they can do it. You know,
yeah.
three sessions a week, three train sessions a week, which are an hour long. Anyone can do that.
I know, but like whatever niche of person you train, um, people will always say to you that's like their go-to excuse. Oh, I don't have time.
Yeah,
How much do you hear that? Like, I don't have time, and it's like everyone has time. If you sit down at a weekend and get your diary out, plan it, you'll find gaps there.
yeah,
And it's like how, on your iPhone nowadays, you get like a screen time report, don't you,
yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
every week. And it's like how many people are spending like hours on their phone,
I
you
know.
know, which could be put towards training, you know.
People just need to prioritize it. As soon as you prioritize what you're
Yeah.
doing, like I have with the Ironman, you almost they go up in your list of priorities, and you end up making sure that you do it.
Well, that's it. It's not a time thing. It's not you don't have enough time. It's just it's not a priority.
Yeah, and I think that's
Um,
what it is with clients as well, isn't it?
but
And
if
yeah,
you say that to a client, someone comes to you like Pete Lewis, I want to lose 5 pounds for a wedding or whatever it is, but I don't really have a lot of time. And you say, well, it's not the fact you don't have a lot of time; it's the fact it's not a priority. That would probably hurt them a bit because
yeah,
they're
it hits the
thinking,
ego.
well, it is. But is it? Well, you're just finding excuses, then, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think that's what it is in with a lot of people, and I think getting that across to people when you're selling PT, you've got to almost beat around the bush sometimes, depending on the person. But then at some point, you've got to almost tell them that if you want to get the results, you've got to put the work in.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like you touched on it earlier, that you will get results with clients if they follow what you're doing,
Yeah,
but you can only do so much. It's like
exactly.
that saying, isn't it? You can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah,
So you can give someone the best training program, the best nutrition plan, all the right stuff. But if they don't follow it through and adhere to it, then you're not going to get the results.
yeah. No, I agree.
And that's out of
Um,
your control. You can't blooming go and live with them.
exactly. We're at the end of the day, we're personal training. And I think for other PTs, like beginner PTs, they've got to realize that if a client doesn't get results, yes, it could be your fault that you haven't provided them with the best service or the best program. But you've got to remember, you can only do so much, as you just said there. Like, you can only provide them with all the information and the correct service. If they don't follow that, that's on them.
Yeah, but I feel like, when you learn to be a PT, that you're not sort of really taught that you need to be quite, I feel, strict with people and put your foot down. Like, obviously, you're starting out, you're a bit nervous, and And sometimes, someone's saying, well, I'm not getting the results, and they're not being fully honest with you. So then you almost self-reflect and think, like, what am I not doing right?
Yeah, you question yourself.
It's not you, it's probably them.
Yeah,
And you need to sort of like be cruel to be kind, I think,
yeah.
sometimes.
So yeah, sometimes you've definitely just got to put it bluntly,
Yeah.
which is hard sometimes. But yeah, I think that's covered pretty much everything there. How long have we
Cool.
been at it? 1:20, an hour and 20 minutes or something.
Yeah. With the odd technical.
The old
Right.
technical difficulty. Anyway,
New mic.
that concludes the episode of, well, the first international dual podcast, which isn't just by myself. There'll be a couple of million people listening to this, so which will
That's
be
great. It's reaching that many people already.
it is, isn't it? I
It's
might
that new
stop,
mic.
and I think it
That's
is.
what it is.
I think it's this mic.
Look at that.
I know it's
Just need
proper
to try.
this.
It's just the operator that's the problem.
I know. Right. See you later.